Saturday, the 4th of February 2023. In this Skidmark, I'm going to talk about our electricity problem, and it is something that affects all of us. And apart from the physical discomfort, it is also affecting our communities psychologically. People are frustrated, angry, upset, irritated, desperate, all things like that. And as I've mentioned earlier in many of my Skidmarks lately, this power problem with Eskom is most probably going to pull this government down. They are out of ideas. They are totally incapable of resolving the issues, mostly because they allow their political ideas, their desperate clinging to power, and the racism part of it. If a white guy comes with a solution, they don't listen to him. And in the meantime, they're killing the country. So we have got a major problem, but that is separate now. Let's focus on Eskom. And if you look at the Eskom issue, and you look at all the solutions, there is astronomical amounts of money involved. But I do believe that most of that astronomical figures is used to hide the fact that there will be astronomical stealing happening. And we all know that. Obviously we need to get the base load resolved, because that is the only proper solution. However, you are talking about time spans that could be up to 10 years. What happens to us in the meantime? To set a pebble bed unit up is expensive and takes around 3 years. I'm convinced that that is the way to go. Decentralized power generation. Small pebble bed units for cities and towns and things. Instead of having all the bulk of the power generation focused up here on the Highveld in Mpumalanga, and then it's got to be transmitted all over the country. So smaller decentralized power generation is the way to go. The green plan is not the solution. The green plan is a component of the solution. Everywhere in the world, the Western world, we can see those green plans has failed spectacularly. We need to see the Eskom power shortage management in two sections. One, capacity shortage. Two, the load shedding trauma. I have done 2 Skidmarks on the load shedding, and I will do a few more. But in this one I'm not going to talk about the load shedding. I will focus on the capacity problem. Solutions must be seen in 2 categories. Let's start with the capacity problem. There is lots of talk of huge solar farms in the Kalahari and wind farms and things like that. But that has got a major problem. It is far away from where the power is needed. And as it is, and this is something nobody wants to talk about, our national grid is already running at about 100% capacity. So by generating 1,000 megawatt or 2,000 megawatt or 10,000 megawatt in the Kalahari, it's not going to help Gauteng, because the Kalahari is far away from Gauteng. So they'll have to build transmission lines, and with those long transmission lines comes a lot of power loss over that distance. So in my mind, those huge solar farms that they're talking about and wind farms they're talking about out in the boondocks is not going to really solve our power problems. It could in actual fact create more problems. All of these capital expenses must be seen against the reality of return on investment. And with all green components that have a limited lifespan, the base cost must be jacked up to offset this. And that influences the retail price. Well-informed analyst tells you that very few of the green solutions actually returns the cost of investment, let alone any profit. That is why we see many green projects being abandoned or never actually built. You must also remember the impact on the environment to make the stuff and to get rid of the stuff. Most components cannot be recycled. This morning, Nick Headley made this tweet. Africa's biggest data center firm, Terraco, will build a 100 megawatt solar farm in South Africa, its home market. Take note, 100 megawatt, but capital involved, 11.8 billion rand. 11.8 billion rand. Just yesterday I released a video in which I was talking about these big numbers. This article got me thinking. For us, consumers, the cost of electricity is getting serious, leave alone the erratic availability. I'm now just going to focus on the cost part and how that have a wonderful spin-off for Eskom. I'm also not including battery storage. I'm not going to talk about battery storage. That is a horse of a different color and a beast on its own. My discussions is definitely not to take you off the grid. I did a Skidmark about going off the grid. Let's look at table 1. If you look at this table, you can see I have only used 2 components. The solar panel and the inverter. And the cost is there, and those are the costs from a local supplier and the top of the line equipment. This is not budget equipment. Keep that in mind. The solar panels is capable as 460 watt per panel, and they can apparently go up to about 600 watt under ideal conditions, but 460 watt is the rating. The inverter is a 5 kilowatt inverter. The total cost of that 10 panels and that inverter will be to you 61,000 rand. Now if you work on the accepted average of 5 hours of sunlight that is usable for solar in South Africa, you can expect to generate 23,000 watts or 0.023 megawatt. Now this will allow you to drive quite a big portion of your equipment in your house during the day on solar. But it is grid tied, so if the solar is not enough, you will take from Eskom. The fact remains, you will be generating your own 23,000 watts. That is what you will be generating. So you will be generating 23,000 watts that you will not take from Eskom and which Eskom can give to somebody else now. So you have lowered your demand by 23,000 watts. Now look at table 2. You look here at the bottom. I've worked on an Eskom rate of R2.28 per kilowatt hour. That is what Eskom charges me. I live out on a farm. That means I can save R52.44 roughly per day if I do an installation like this. That is 1,573 rand per month. That is 1,573 rand that I don't have to pay to Eskom because I am generating it for myself. If we take these numbers, my return on investment is 39 months. That is just over 3 years. And I've got my capital back. Nobody give it back to me. I'm just not going to pay it to Eskom. So what I'm saving on my monthly bill is paying for the capital I invested, 61,000 rand. If you get your electricity from a municipality, you're paying more than 228. So your savings is going to be bigger, so your return on investment is going to be quicker. But what is important to note is up to this point, it has cost Eskom nothing. They had no expenditure at all, and they are getting a saving. They are getting a saving of 23,000 watts per day. If Eskom is clever, they can say to you, okay, we appreciate what you are doing. Here's 1,000 rand per panel, or something like that. We will not give you cash, but we will credit your account, which is acceptable for me. Meer credit on my account, I can accept that. Zero capital layout for Eskom, and you will speed up your ROI, your return on investment, if they do that. It's a win-win for both. Now look at table 3. Look at the bottom part there. Say, in the whole of South Africa, 5,000 homeowners. Only 5,000 homeowners. Nelspruit has got 45,000 homeowners. But in the whole of South Africa, if 5,000 homeowners takes this route, they will be they will generate for themselves 115 megawatt per day. 115. Think about that. That is 115 megawatt that Eskom don't have to give to consumers, and they can give it to small businesses and things like that. That should make a difference on their demand problem. And that's only 5,000 homes. The capital involved for those 5,000 homes are roughly 305 million rand. That is what that 5,000 homeowners will invest. 305 million rand. The Terraco plant that Nick Headley referred to in his post is budgeting 11.8 billion rand for 100 megawatt capacity. So for 2.5% of the Terraco investment, 5,000 homeowners can supply more power, can generate more power. Look, I'm not talking giving back to the grid. I'm just talking not taking anything from the grid. You are generating that 115 megawatt for yourself. You don't need it from Eskom. So that lightens the load on Eskom, and they can use that 115 megawatt for small businesses that cannot do solar or something. They may be in a basement or they're in a mall passage or something like that. They can give that power to them. So you are contributing 115 megawatt per day. The Terraco will invest 11.8 billion rand to generate 100 megawatt. Now obviously the Terraco thing will include batteries and all types of shit, but that is not going, how much of that 100 megawatt is going to actually reach the grid? How much? Now if we look at this solution of 5,000 homes, and you can get some of the commercial users involved, people with large warehouses where there's a lot of roof space for solar, and they've got parking lots that is undercover where they can have solar panels and things like that. They can all generate power, and obviously they can generate enough for themselves, but they will have surplus, and that will get pumped back into the grid. That's a different topic to discuss, about feeding back into the grid. For this one today, I'm just going to focus on you generate enough power for your immediate needs. And not all the power, just a block of 115 megawatt, which is a substantial block. Imagine you double those homeowners to 10,000. That's 230 megawatt. What happens if you go to 100,000? How many homes are there in South Africa? Just a little bit of incentive from the government, Eskom. I'll just keep referring to Eskom, whether it's through the government or what. Just a little bit of incentive from Eskom, and literally hundreds of megawatts can be generated privately that will take the demand of the grid. Just understand, we homeowners, we are not the real reason why Eskom struggles. Eskom struggles because of business and industries. So if we take less from them during the day, they've got more to give to the businesses. And that is what you must focus on. But if you look at the tables as I've given to you, you are doing a good investment, because you are going to get your money back within 40 months. And after that, it's a bonus. You're making profit on your investment, because you're still going to be generating the power for which you will not be paying the municipality or Eskom. Think about that. The inverter I used in the example above is grid tied and could deliver excess to the grid. But the aim of this program is just to show how quickly can homeowners bring a massive relief to the Eskom problem. Centralization is a very big problem for innovative solutions. My example will give the ANC hemorrhoids, because there is zero room there for cadres to steal. And that they don't like, and this will never promote a simple solution like this. Think about this on this Saturday, while we are being challenged to not get depressed about the power issues. Think about what you can do to make life easier for you, and at the same time help the country. Please feel free to post your comments and your opinions. Just remember, I'm not an electricity fundi or an energy expert. I'm just a guy that sees things, read things, listen to things, and think about things. And to me, what I have presented to you here makes sense. It makes sense, and I can understand what it does. Please give me a like, and a subscribe, and share the thing. And have a nice day.